listening to the Ice Prep Podcast. Here's your hosts, Brian and Pat.
Hey, this week I'm actually doing it right, not restarting the opener for some reason.
Oh, are you recording this time too?
I am! I've got
Okay.
the red circle. That means that things are being recorded, so I'm off to a good start. I'm 2 for 2. I have like 2 things to do off the top, and I fail at like 50% of the podcast that we start.
Yeah. Hey, and look at that. Another thing that we're doing right is we're doing back-to-back weeks like we're supposed to do.
Hey!
Not bailing on it like we have been doing, so hooray, we are back into the groove.
Back into the groove. I'm in the basement, which doesn't have any water in it, so I'm very happy about that after all the rain. We rarely get any. We're more apt to get like a mouse or two that'll sneak in when it gets really bad, but that's why we have traps everywhere.
Yep. No, and I don't know. You'll probably, for those that are watching, I'm going to be moving around as I normally do way too much. And the boxes have started. The move has begun. We have a date of the move-in. And I also realized after last week when I was talking about it that I'm house sitting for 2 weeks between now and the move, which means I don't have the 34 days that I thought I have. I have closer to about 15, maybe 14 days. So, yeah. And it's all like front loaded. So I have to pack every single day after work and I'm exhausted.
Yep. Well, we'll figure out. Who knows? Maybe one of those ones will have to be a solo one, or we'll have to get a guest host. But we'll see what happens. Or
No,
that'll
I
be
have
like
internet
I
at
will.
the new place.
I will hide in the bathroom. He'll be sitting on the toilet. It'll be the toilet pod.
No. I have internet coming in on the 15th. So, and that's a Wednesday. So literally I get the keys on the 15th and an hour later I have internet being installed. That is the most important thing.
Yep. Honestly, it truly is, especially nowadays. Since it's so in the time that we were off, there was obviously a bunch that happened in the hockey world, and then we had our episode last week because there was like no hockey because we went into the All-Star game, and it once again proved that the All-Star game for the NHL is the most boring product on the planet. They need to do something to it because it is, even the Twitter clips this year were like unwatchable. The only half decent thing was seeing McDavid go 4 for 4 twice in the accuracy and lose out by like half a second to Kadri. Other than that, that and I guess Ovi to Sid twice in the Metro Atlantic game was kind of neat to see. But that's there was nothing. Like, it was just a cringe fest, and not in a, like, sometimes cringe can be good. It was bad.
Yeah. No, I think I was messaging you. I was like, I watched, I think about 20 minutes of it, and I turned it off because it was so bad that I was like, this makes me upset.
Here's how it went. I looked at my phone, and it said, I've decided to turn on the All-Star game. Bing. I have decided to turn off the All-Star game. It was, like, in short succession to each other.
Yeah, it was boring, and it like there's some weird goalie thing that was happening that I was
that
like,
was
why?
so weird. Yeah,
you shoot it, and the rules made no sense. And then I watched it, and I was like, what is happening? How come this person's getting point? Are they on the same team? They're on different teams. I don't know. The whole thing was stupid. If they're gonna just do, they may as well just get rid of the All-Star game. There was like nobody in the seats. They say it's for the area, but it's just like it's not worth it.
Yeah,
it's not. The players don't want to be there. The fans aren't there. Why?
The NHL was so lucky that Lou Lamoriello did the trade for Bo Horvat, so there was at least something exciting going into that weekend.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that weekend without
confusion
having
of what team he's going to play for?
The Islanders jersey playing for the Pacific, which was like, whatever. You couldn't tell the difference between the teams anyway because their jerseys were so similar on the ice. I digress. So All-Star break happens and nobody cares. It doesn't mean anything. Like, baseball's got it the best because their All-Star game is super important.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, if the NL wins the All-Star game, the NL team in the World Series gets home field, vice versa for the AL. Like, that to me is amazing.
Yeah,
but
and
it's also
honestly,
the only.
I think that should be the case in NHL as well. Because at that point they've played so many games. It's once they get to the Stanley Cup Finals, it's all completely unique. It's all completely different from what the end of the season was. They should just have it instead of pretty much whoever performed the best and whatever weird nonsense they want to deal with. They should just have it as whichever division wins gets that.
East or West, yeah. And hey, that might actually make some of those players try.
Actually, I almost.
And I'm the one with the beer, Pat. So that was the. Oh, he does have one. So that was the.
I just hide it.
That was the pre-All-Star break trade. And then earlier today, out of nowhere, Frank Saravalli's tweeting out that, well, it looks like Vladimir Tarasenko's on the move to the Rangers. Let's pull this one up on the screen for people. Here's the full deal. This one was kind of crazy to see happen. It probably also means that the Rangers are now out on Patrick Kane and Timo Meier. Being out on Timo Meier makes me happy. So the New York Rangers get Vladimir Tarasenko and defenseman Nico Mikkola, which made Rangers fans very happy because they got a player that they didn't want on defense put on waivers. So now they actually have a serviceable third pair. St. Louis gets a conditional 2023 first rounder, conditional 2024 fourth, which becomes a third if the Rangers make the playoffs, so that's a third. Sammy Blais going back to St. Louis, and Hunter Skinner.
He's a prospect.
Yeah. New York owns 2 firsts this year, so the lower of the 2 firsts goes to St. Louis. And this, to me, was the craziest thing. And it maybe it does mean that the Rangers aren't done. St. Louis retaining 50% on this rental.
Well, it still might spell that they're done. They were pretty close to cap when this trade was first announced, and people were like, either there's a lot going back or they're retaining. So more or less, they're probably out unless they're doing, they're selling people off of their roster, which, I mean, it could happen. We've seen crazier things.
Well, you never know, because this is definitely a move from a top team to win the Stanley Cup. And usually when there's one, there's another one or two. Look at what Tampa does every year. Look at what the Avs did last year. It wasn't just one player. They had a few little moves that added in. Like, you can go back years past. There's not a lot, but it's usually like one piece that is a key and then another tertiary or secondary.
Well, I mean, look at the 2 pieces that Colorado added. Cogliano, who they signed and was like a key part of at least the first 2 rounds, and a little bit of the finals. And who
from Montreal?
Lehkonen.
Yeah, Arturi Lehkonen.
Arturi Lehkonen. Oh yeah, has he done anything? Has he been any good? Oh yeah, he's been incredible. Not so much this year, but he's been incredible in the playoffs.
He got you guys the cup. So yeah, that was the big trade earlier today, and it's funny. So where I work, one of my coworkers who works for the television side is a diehard Rangers fan. He actually had his Rangers sweater on today. So I've got my Devils Yeti. He's got his Rangers Yeti. He's also, if I were to step out in my backyard, I can literally see his house. So it was kind of neat being able to be like, so you guys have Tarasenko now. And he looked at me like, what? Vladimir Tarasenko, yeah, you guys traded for him, and then he was able to find out everything. It's just one of those fun things in the workplace if you know somebody's a fan of a team. It's like
being able to drop the news for them.
It's like when the 1-for-1 trade happened years ago, Hall for Larson.
Yeah.
I was at work, and there was like 4 people that came running into the studio I was in to be like, oh my God.
Yeah. Tarasenko, as soon as I heard Tarasenko going to the Rangers, I was like, yeah, No, that's 100% the team he should be playing for. Why has he not? I don't know why, but he is the most New York Rangers feeling person in the world to me.
Yeah, they've apparently had gone after him a few times.
Yeah.
It just never worked out. In their Stanley Cup run, 11 goals in 26 games. Excuse me. So that's not too bad.
I think he was banged up too.
Oh, he's always
'Cause he
banged
was
up.
because he was
Unfortunately,
off for the entire season afterwards, so he was hyper banged up.
17 points in 26 games. That's pretty good. So that's something that they'll be looking for. It's going to be very interesting, and especially Devils sitting second in the Metro right now. Rangers nipping at their butt. For those watching, this one earlier today did not like reading this. Jack Hughes week to week with an upper body injury. Looked like it happened in the first against who was their last game? Vancouver the other night, I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a video that was going around of
Everybody's
Matthew
saying,
Tkachuk doing
yeah,
a semi slew foot.
everybody's saying that, but he wouldn't have skated in the first game back otherwise, I don't think.
Yeah,
Because there was one point where he went back to the bench and he was kind of like curled over from something. So that
yeah.
sucks. I'm wondering. We already mentioned him, Timo Meyer. If the Devils were going after him, now they may have to push that forward a little bit because the offense for the Devils runs through Jack Hughes.
Yeah.
So who knows? I'm still trying to not get excited about the prospect of them going into the playoffs, but as long as Jack Hughes is injured, it's like I really don't want to see what happens now. Because Vanacek had a great January. He's been,
I mean,
he got the win, but it was not a good game against Vancouver.
no. I mean, I don't know. They're gonna go in. Like, I highly, highly doubt they are going to hemorrhage points to the point that they're not going to make it in at this point. Too many points. But
They're not acquiring him. He's in Tampa.
yeah, exactly. No point in warmups. Anyways,
What a
thanks,
tweet.
Friedman. Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs, and I think right now actually is a really good time to look at it and see. It's kind of, they're going to be missing a key player. How do they adapt? It's unfortunate that he's injured, and I really hope that it's not like a Nathan McKinnon situation where every single season he's trending to hit at least 100 points, and that's just the record he gets tallied with, is on pace for over 100 points and never gets it because he keeps getting injured. I hope that's not the case for him, for Jack Hughes, but even still, it doesn't deny his talent.
Oh, he's what a step up this year. He's been a lot of fun to watch, and I pulled up the standings for the Metro on screen here, and yeah, luckily the Devils do have that 10-point cushion and game in hands. Pat went away. We'll get him back. You can see me twice there. There's Pat. Welcome back, Pat.
My whole computer just glitched.
Oh, that was fun. Found out that when you vanish, my face shows up twice on the screen, which is kind of fun. So on the Pat side, there was a Brian. You didn't miss much. You were gone for like 3 seconds. Just that. I don't even know. That was fun.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Stupid technology. I bumped my laptop and I apparently hit something. Oh my god.
Shouldn't have touched it.
But yes, so trades. So when it comes to trades, though, I want to go kind of back to Tarasenko in essence. So clearly, St. Louis, they've realized, all right, this season we're done. Let's go. So that means you've got pieces on the board now. You've got Ryan O'Reilly and Barbashev. Those are the two people that most people are talking about when it comes to trade. Where do you think Ryan O'Reilly is going to end up? By the trade deadline, where do you think he'll be?
If I thought that he would be okay playing third line, my brain says Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Because that would be a ridiculous 1-2-3 in Crosby, Malkin, O'Reilly. I have the feeling that St. Louis, even though they won't be in the playoffs, they're going to want to send him east. Washington could be one. Definitely won't be the Islanders. Carolina doesn't have Pacioretty. He's out, so they could be in on him.
They're definitely in to try and pick up that, like Meyer. They've been saying Meyer they have a lot of interest in. So,
and don't count out the number one team in the league. Yeah, they've got a 1-2 center up front. That's another team. Like, I could see Ryan O'Reilly fitting into that Boston system in a heartbeat. And if he's there, it's like you've got two of the best face-off people in the league. Good luck ever getting the puck. I think Boston and Carolina are my front runners if he does get traded.
my gut is telling me something a little different, and it's because I think he might go back.
There's too much sourness there between, even though it's like a different GM and everything, I think there's a lot of sourness between him and the Pagulas at Buffalo.
Oh, I'm not talking about Buffalo, Brian.
Oh, you're thinking he's going back to the Avalanche?
They need a number 2 center. They need that depth. As much as Newhook has stepped up, he really has. He's really showing that he is potentially a number 2 center. He's a better suited number 3. So who is their number 2 right now? I think it's Rantanen is taking most of the number 2 slots, or at least he was. Landeskog is looking like he's going to be coming back, but he's a winger. I think that may not be a bad thing. That could work. If they can find a way to make it work, that's not a bad ad, especially since they suck on faceoffs. Colorado's terrible at faceoffs.
Yeah, that looking at it, final year of this contract, bunch of it paid off. Yeah, that would actually be interesting because it would cost you at least your first, which we know the Avs aren't afraid to do. But to me, the big thing on that is I don't know if St. Louis would trade to like literally one of their biggest rivals. But
well, the other thing that I'm thinking, so you've got Colorado. They are awful in the faceoff dot. They are currently sitting 27th in the league with faceoff percentage, 46.4%. That's bad. Ryan O'Reilly, he's pretty damn good at faceoffs. The team that's in 31st, and another team that I think could really benefit from him, Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. For them, I think
pick.
it all depends on injuries there. But yeah, that's another one that you really like. Seattle just scares the crap out of me, to be honest. Like
as a rental,
yeah,
because he's a rental. They're like, obviously they have Shane Wright. He's waiting in the wings. They've got a lot of young talent that's going to come up and do really well. They have a lot of picks that they can trade if they feel like it. So they could make a play.
He can go back and play with his buddy Schwartz again.
Yeah, they had good chemistry.
So,
who knows?
Yeah, I think we picked a few potential teams. Vince Dunn, too. I believe he was St. Louis as well, as I'm looking through their roster. So.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that would actually be a very interesting one, looking at it more. That's if St. Louis trades in the West, I agree. I think those are kind of like the big 1 and 2, because any of the other ones, like LA's not going to. They've got a 1 and 2 locked in.
Yep.
Edmonton won't. A, they can't afford it. B, they don't need another center like that, though they do need scoring, which is weird to say for Edmonton. Calgary can't afford anything.
Nope.
Vegas is Vegas, so you never know.
Yeah, they're probably going to end up with Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, Ryan O'Reilly, and Timo Meier, and then they'll be like, "Why did we get? We ran out of money."
Maybe the only other one, but I don't know how they would find space, would be Dallas. But if O'Reilly goes,
that would be a good one.
I think
That's the same. But so you say that it's not going to be somebody in the same area, but Brandon saw it. They did that swap.
That's true.
Colorado, well, did they swap? I can't remember. But even still, like, there's still a chance it
Yeah.
may happen. What about Barbashev? I know that he's not a huge name, but he brings a lot of unique skills. Every single time I watch him play, I'm like, God, I hate that he's on the ice. He's big.
Minnesota Wild.
No. Nope. I am telling you, he is going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. He is going to be traded for like Pierre Engvall. It's going to be a 1-for-1 because that's kind of his value, but he brings something so different. I think that he is going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf before the trade deadline.
That is the history, and it seems like this year a lot of teams are trying to do things early, which, sorry, James Duthie and the gang, but it's going to make that 17-hour show a little bit tougher on you this year.
Very slow.
Yeah, there's like, it's fun that we're at the point for some teams going into the season. We were like, okay, these guys, they're going to be good. Oh, they're actually sellers now. And they've got quite a few people that are on their last year, and they don't have to rebuild. They can literally, one bad year, turn things around relatively quickly. And like, the more I look at the Central, those top 6 teams, it still could, like, obviously St. Louis is out and Nashville's out, but like next year, you're looking at it, it could be any order.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's such a weak division.
It is, but it isn't. You've got 4 ridiculous goaltenders of those 6 teams.
Yeah, true.
Like 4 of the top 6 or 7 goalies in the league play in the Central. Mind you, one will probably end up retiring here shortly. But yeah, it's,
I don't know.
Nothing it's we've just gotten to that point where it's not just like 1 or 2 teams anymore. It's like, well, Boston, Toronto, Tampa, and now it's fun seeing Pittsburgh and Washington having to chase.
Yeah, that's a nice change. Sorry to Pittsburgh and Washington fans.
Oh no, you've had like 15 years straight of playoff bursts.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if anything, you should be thankful that you're not the Oilers. You've got generational talents on your team, and guess what? They got cups for you. And it looks like, although the Oilers are killing it in their last 10, it looks like that McDavid, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be an Oiler forever. I think he's going to want to get the hell out of there. If they bomb it in the playoffs, I am calling it. He is going to be in, and like maybe mid-season next season, if it's the same story again, he's done.
He is Stanley Cup Finals or gone, probably. Like,
yeah.
So just something fun that I want to, just as I was looking, we were talking about this before we opened up the show. Bo Horvat, second goal for the Islanders from Matthew Barzal again. So the Islanders, Bo getting the go-ahead goal against his former team, the Vancouver Canucks. So it's just fun to see that.
That's like any team in the league except for maybe the Ducks. Maybe.
Oh yeah, funny you say that. Remember? So, just an aside, those watching, see the shirt that I'm wearing? It's got the strings and all that. This is from when we went to Disney. Look at that.
Ah, nice. You got the original Anaheim Ducks.
It's got the C. It's got the 96. I don't know if I'll be able to pull this off. Hold on here. Can you see that? Quack, quack, quack.
Oh, this says quack, quack, quack on the back. There you go. That's great.
Yeah, and it's even got the Mighty Ducks 30 on there.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
So there's random aside nice for those watching. Yeah.
No, I honestly think that Vancouver, there's only one other team in the league that is worse than them, in my opinion, and that's the Ducks. Unfortunately, I like the Ducks. I think that there's a lot of fun on that team.
You're not going to say Columbus?
No.
The last place team in the league?
Yeah, they have talent. They're just beaten up. They're super duper injured. I think they're a middle team. I don't think they're good. I just think they're better than Vancouver. Like the only people on Vancouver that are good are Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson, and that's about it. Thatcher Demko's good, but he's gonna be traded by the sounds of it. So
who knows who they'll have in net. One thing I do want to talk about, because this is a former Avalanche. Earlier today, just before all the Tarasenko news broke, Leafs announcing 2-year extension with former Avalanche. They get him from Arizona.
Yeah, so
Connor Timmins.
Connor Timmins went to Arizona in the trade for Darcy Kemper. So you know what? As much as Connor Timmins has been an absolute rock star for the Leafs and really showing that he's a talented player, we got a cup with the trade. That's the way to you can split hairs as much as you want. We probably didn't need him.
No. There's no space for him, unfortunately. So he gets 2-year, $1.1 million AAV, which is amazing for the Leafs. That's what happens with just where he is in his contract. And once he's done that contract, he'll probably jump up like 5 or 6-fold, depending how he does. But he's played
probably to a 5 at least.
And with that contract, I think he will force that can be buried. But now that he has that contract, I think the Leafs are going to actually be forced to look and be like, yeah, he is the better defenseman. Let's get him in.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the right side now, you've got Brody, you've got Liljegren, and you've got Timmins. That's not bad. That's actually pretty damn good. That's a good right side. And that was how many years ago? 2, 3 years ago? A right D is what the Leafs, and that's what everyone said. That's what Babcock was saying. We need right Ds. We have no right Ds. We got to get right Ds. We can't do it.
That was the first thing out of his mouth when they got Jake Muzzin, was complaining about that fact. Like,
we have nobody for the right side. And now they have 3 very talented hockey players for the right side. So good on Dubas. I think people like to poop on him because I don't know why.
It's the low-hanging fruit, right?
Yeah.
And there's always got to be a scapegoat. Usually it's one of the players, either a goaltender or a defenseman. Right now it's Dubas, and it has been for quite a while, or it's Marner, one of the two.
Yeah, or it's Nylander, or it's the coach, Keefe, or it's this, or it's what's wrong with the Leafs.
I liked your Seal impersonation there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, call me Seal with how many ors there are. But no, it's the Leafs. It's just this constant circle of like, who can we pin blame on? And it's just like, pin blame on the media. That's where the blame lies. Stop. Like, you're going to push out talent because of how terrible you are. You look at Nylander, he's the only person, or maybe not, but he's every day on the week with the week off, he has been at the training facility. He is putting in time. He's working on his skills. Him and his brother are working together. They're practicing. They're trying to better their skills. So don't point fingers at Nylander. He is doing everything exactly how he should. He might beat Matthews for goal scoring this year. So,
yeah, run him out of town and then see how much you miss him after. That's going to be a fun one.
I would eat all of that. Oh my God, 5-0 for the Lightning over the Avalanche.
Just want to bring this one back up. We were talking about Bo Horvat scoring. He now joins a very elusive group. He has officially scored against all 32 NHL teams.
Oh, good for him. That's kind of fun.
There's not a lot of that because the Kraken haven't been around for very long.
Yeah. Hey, do you know what was also pretty cool? There was it 4 or 5? It was 4 or 5 London Knights at the All-Star game. Or former London Knights. So you had Kadri, Marner, Horvat, Kachuk.
Oh yeah.
I think there might have been one more, but yeah, so 4 former London Knights, which is pretty cool to see hometown repping in the All-Stars. It's pretty cool.
Well, now you got me thinking, like, is there another one? But no, it might just be the 4. Interesting.
One of my favorite things to do, to talk about the London Knights, because Why not? Because it's our podcast and not yours. But one of my favorite things to do, and it creates one of the funniest things, is every single year I build the former London Knights team in NHL, whatever version I have. And it is killer up front, okay on defense, and goaltenders that you have to go and like find them in like the weird free agency pool of like fake made up people, because it's like Tyler Parsons and that's about it.
Who's Stolar's playing for right now? He's playing for the Ducks, isn't he?
Yep, those are it. Stolars and Tyler Parsons. That's 1 and 2. Tyler Parsons, I think, is like a 60 in the game.
Yeah, he's still in the
Groshue.
Flames AHL system.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a funny little thing I like to do because the up front they are gods on skates. Like they just produce it, and then it's just like Evan Bouchard and Olio Levy.
Well, I mean,
defensive pairings.
You could do, I think, Michael Del Zotto, right?
Yeah, he's always on it too. Yeah,
you bring in Victor Mete if you want to.
Yeah, so like they're okay on defense. Yeah, it's funny how.
But yeah, up front, it's scary.
Yeah, like Logan Mailloux, as much as everything around him is toxic and garbage, he's probably one of the only good defensemen to come out of the London Knights system in probably like the past 10 years. And when I say good, I mean like better than third line.
Well, the last time the Montreal Canadiens Victor Mete drafted a much-typed, skilled defenseman, kind of turned out as a bit of a bust. You just never know how they're going to transition into the show.
True. Very true. So, a little aside there.
Yeah. One or two more things left that I have here sitting on my screen. I know you really like talking about this one, so I'll pull it up here. People can see it. I'll let you know. The Jack Eichel update since Stone went down to injury. 9 games played, 1 assist, -8, 25 shots, average 18:38 time on ice. He's struggling. Luckily for the Golden Knights, they've built themselves a nice buffer and they're playing solid hockey all around because their number one center that they paid a ton for.
Where'd he go?
Right now, Buffalo has won that trade leaps and bounds. But at the end of the day, though, it was all about Eichel being able to get the surgery. So I don't want to harp on a team for the trade because at the end, it was for Eichel's health, and the trade should be an aside in all of that. But yeah, he's not playing well right now. He'll turn it around. He usually seems to. So.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun because, I don't know, I had this gut feeling that that there's not a lot of times that I'm just like, yeah, I want the Leafs fans to be right. But the Eichel versus Matthews debate, I'm glad that this is happening because it's a little bit tasty. It's kind of fun to see Eichel not performing and Matthews changing his game up so much that he's not doing what he used to do. So people are like, what's wrong? It's just great. I love it. I love that everyone's getting so upset about hockey, about things that are completely intangible and make no sense. It's great.
Meanwhile, we're witnessing a generational season by Connor McDavid, and it's like the quietest 90-plus point in 50 game that we've ever seen, just because it's like, oh, yeah, it's kind of expected. It's McDavid.
It's McDavid, that's what he does. Yeah, he has 94 points right now.
And I don't even know if that...
as of recording.
I don't even know if that includes his assist in the first or in the second.
Because he had 93 when I checked earlier, and then, so he is at 94 points, and it's not even trade deadline. That's nutty.
One final thing here before we move on to games of the week. I'm not sure if you saw this one, Pat. A tweet earlier this morning by the Detroit Red Wings. Or, sorry, by the Calgary Flames, not the Detroit Red Wings. So maybe,
Anderson?
yeah, at approximately
sent it
6
to you.
p.m. Okay, I can't remember. There's so much that goes on. So last night, while riding a scooter in Detroit on his way to dinner, Flames defenseman Rasmus Anderson was struck by a vehicle. Taken to hospital, full battery of tests before being released. He's doing well, listed day to day. What a absolute freak accident! And I have
Super lucky.
the feeling that Brad Treliving is going to institute a no scooter rule for the rest of the year.
So True Living, he did a press conference and he did address it, and he flat out said, "I want to make it abundantly clear, no alcohol was involved," which I think is, good. I'm glad he said that. It sucks that he has to say that, but I was really glad to see that because that's him being like, "No, I'm going to protect any sort of speculation.
Get ahead of it."
I'm just no. We're happy that it could have been worse and it wasn't."
By the
he
way,
might have a concussion, but even still, it's good that he's okay.
of course, as we were literally ripping on Jack Eichel, he has a goal and an assist tonight, and literally just scored.
All right, well, see ya.
That was dated. Literally, as we were talking, he was like, "I'll show them."
You could hear me in Vegas.
Yes.
Or no, where is he?
Minnesota.
Ew, of course he's in. Minnesota, I can't even rely on them to shut out Jack Eichel for me. Come on, Minnesota. Boo.
Do you have anything else you want to add, Pat? I'm just looking through. That's kind of everything I had.
am going to add one more thing. So there was a post that went around on the internet. Some people might have seen it. Some may have not. It was a list of the teams of the most hated player on each team. And some of them were really wrong. It was like, who made this and were they drunk? So what Jay Fresh did, good old Jay Fresh, he is probably one of my favorite people on Twitter. He does stats and hilarious tweets. He was like, well, let's crowdsource this. So he did the surveys online. Or was it him? No, it wasn't Jay Fresh. It was a new follow of mine. Somebody is a Dallas Stars fan. I can't remember their Twitter handle, but they've got some banger tweets. That's very, very funny. So they did a survey to figure out who was the most hated player on the team, and I went through it, and I got to Minnesota, and that was probably the hardest decision I have ever had to make in my entire life, because how do you choose just one? But yes, so I'm excited. They haven't officially announced the stats from it. They've been kind of teasing it a little bit, so I've been following it like a friggin' hawk because I want to see the results. I'm curious to see what the crowdsourced version, and it looks like a couple hundred people have responded, so it's a decent sample size when it comes to data collection. So it'll be interesting to see what people have selected as the most hated people on the team. So updates for that once that comes out, and stealing content from other people who I can't remember their Twitter handle for, and I sincerely apologize, Dallas Stars fan.
I think I found the person, but oh my goodness, they tweet a lot. Okay, I found the document.
So
you have to pick and go through all the
Yeah, you have to pick, like, it's every single team, all 32 teams, and they list every active roster person. Some of them you can hammer through pretty damn quick.
I have to go through and click. I'd have to click 32 different times. It's not worth it right now. But hey, if we remember, we'll come back to it another time.
Don't you worry. But do you know what we're coming back to right now, though?
The Devils winning 3-1 over Seattle Kraken without Jack Hughes, and Dougie Hamilton scored twice, and John Marino got an empty netter. So 3 defensemen scored for the Devils.
Hey, it's good for Marino coming back, though.
Yes.
I think that him coming back just before Hughes got hurt, that's a weird kind of, at least that happened. It's not like Colorado, who, Jeff Carter doing a cheap shot to a head of one of the best defensemen in the world. No penalty, no discipline. It was very clearly a targeted headshot, but whatever. It's fine. It's good for the NHL to have one of their all-stars get knocked out with a concussion.
And no
by
repercussions?
zero repercussions by a mid player that should have retired years ago, that's just clinging on to his own pathetic glory that he thinks that his career is. Sorry, I'm mad at you. Screw you, Jeff Carter, for this week. You probably are not a terrible guy, but what you did was bad. Shame on you. Anyway, it's the games of the week.
Until earlier this week, I held the best game of the week because what was it, that 9-7 game between Seattle and I don't remember who way back when. Pat Stradamus over there returns as he picked the Rangers and what game was it?
Calgary.
Yes, the Rangers-Calgary game, old school 90s hockey, big hits, plenty of fights, 5-4 game.
In overtime.
Overtime winner.
What a game.
It
what
was
a game.
It was a very good game and a good choice by you. Good, like, we probably won't top that because that is literally being lauded as, like, the game of the year so far.
That was that, and it was a gut feeling. It was, I just feel like something's going to happen, I think was the words that I used. So followed my gut. I'm like Toucan Sam, but when it comes to hockey games.
It's too bad I didn't end up picking the Devils Canucks like I was going to, because the Devils scored 3 times in 50 seconds, and then the game was forced to go to overtime. That was not good. Instead, I went with the Islanders taking on the Kraken. And yeah, Bo Horvat got his first goal as a New York Islander in the shutout. The Kraken, not very fond of the New York area right now, I would imagine.
No.
That is 1 goal for, 7 goals against in 2 games. And they need those points badly to stay on top. Mm-hmm. So you definitely, no contest, you have one game of the week.
Woo! It's not often I've done that. But, Brian, you get to choose first because we both were considering a Saturday game. And I'm curious to see if you chose the Saturday game that I was also looking at. So,
well, I'm going with one of the teams that you just had as part of your game of the week. Not the Rangers. The 12:30 game in Buffalo, the Flames taking on the Sabres. Kind of fun because we've talked a little bit about both teams so far. I think Calgary is not going to stand a chance with the waves of offense that Buffalo seems to throw.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do very well.
Nice early game on Saturday. Perfect. There's a lot of early games on Saturday. Is that Hockey Day in Canada?
I can't remember. I think there's a reason why there's so many early games on Saturday. I don't know. Maybe they're just like, stay as far away from this superb owl as possible.
January 16th. Nope, so we missed it. I don't know.
All right. Well, I will say we did not choose the same game. Okay. But we did choose Saturday. So I agree. That'll be a solid game. I want to see Tage just put up so many points and then watch Daryl Sutter go, well, he did a really good job. And it was just Thompson. In his press conferences, because that's how he sounds. He sounds like an old man grumbling into a microphone. So I chose Saturday, February 11th, 1 p.m., the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Dallas Stars.
You couldn't see it. I was hovering between that one and the Capitals Bruins constantly, and I landed on the Lightning Stars. So Pat wants the Stanley Cup final rematch of 3 years ago now.
Yep, and probably the Stanley Cup final of this year.
We'll see which Tampa Bay Lightning shows up because they got absolutely dummied by Florida earlier in the week. They did not have a good game. When was against the Sharks? They lost 4-3 to the Sharks in overtime. They're having their way with Colorado as we speak. So, which team shows up will be interesting, and Dallas will. So,
yeah. Yeah, no, I'm really excited for that one actually. I think that's going to be a hell of a game. Dallas hasn't done a ton to their roster, but what they've done is they've built really strong systems. Tampa's done some tinkering since that Stanley Cup final there. So, but again, it's very similar team to what those two teams are playing. Corey Perry is now on the other team.
Well,
But
it also helps for Dallas. You don't really have to go out and get players when somebody like Wyatt Johnson steps up insanely
yeah,
well, and
well,
Jake
and
Ottinger showing
Ottinger,
he's
yeah.
not a one-trick pony.
And Jason Robertson being like, "Hey, you guys are underpaying me." So I think that'll be a hell of a game. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and it's at 1 o'clock. So if you got nothing to do on Saturday, you have 2 games to choose from that you can kind of swap between in
Yeah,
intermission.
that's the nice
Woo!
thing with mine being a 12:30 and yours being a 1. You can just hop back and forth. So that's our games
Love it.
of the week. I don't think I have anything else to add for this week. I've got to work on an essay for university, so that's my next task. Anything you want to add, Pat, before we close things off?
Brian, I have one more question. Who is going to win the Super Bowl? Is it going to be the Kansas City Chiefs or some birds? I don't know. The green team.
The Eagles. I don't want to see Mahomes. I don't like him just because, minus this year, he didn't have to. He just absolutely eats the Bills apart.
Yeah.
I do like him because he literally, when they won their first Super Bowl title, just was like a giddy kid and was so excited to go to Disney World because that's what the MVP gets. So they get the like VIP thing there, and he was tweeting like crazy about it. I kind of want to see the Eagles because their fan base is probably the second craziest behind the Bills Mafia.
Yeah.
And win or lose, Eagles Twitter is going to take over. So that'll be fun. I'm rooting Eagles.
Okay. I'm rooting for Jay-Z to make an appearance
Oh, of
during
course he
Rihanna.
will.
I just want to hear Umbrella, and that's about it. No, I don't know. I can't. You can't bet against Mahomes. I like even with a busted ankle, or not busted, but still sprained ankle. He was just like, well, look what I can do. He was still sprinting around. So I know that's a whole bunch of like numbing that they're shooting into his foot, but even still, um, I don't know. I think Philly's really good. I think they've got a hell of a team, but I you can't bet against them. You can't bet against Mahomes, and I got to put money on him. I'm not going to put money, but if I had money to put down, I would put it on Mahomes and the Chiefs.
It's probably the safer bet of the two. What's that?
Hurts is good.
Three
Jalen
of
Hurts is a hell of a quarterback, but
isn't that 3 of the last 4 years now that they've been in the Super Bowl? So yeah,
the talent's absurd.
it's unfair. So
Yeah,
I'm apparently cheering for the team the color that I'm wearing right now.
go
Um,
green.
And yeah, we'll talk to everybody again next week. Who knows? Maybe we'll have more trades by then.
Probably.
Hopefully. And hopefully good news about Makar and Jack Hughes in the interim between.
Absolutely. All right.
So I think we can call it there, Pat. So say bye, Pat.
Yeah. Bye.